Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen. This is the third and final part of these different types of inheritance. And so you should have already learned and seen that, there we go, that there's complete dominance. So that's the one that we got all the practice with on our Punnett squares. That is where one allele is dominant over the other. We also have learned about incomplete dominance, where neither of the alleles are dominant, and so you get some sort of blending of the two. We have seen codominant, where both alleles are dominant, and you'll actually get both traits expressed in the heterozygote. And then this last day, yesterday, we talked about two other types of inheritance. So I want you to take a second and review to yourself or ponder, what does it mean to have a trait with multiple alleles? So what does that mean if you have a trait that has multiple alleles? Alright, so multiple alleles is just like how it sounds. So you have a trait that instead of having only two alleles, like the three above that we were talking about, you might actually have 3 or 4 alleles. Okay, and so there's the bunny rabbit example, but then the other main example that we talked about was blood type, and how with blood type you could have the allele that codes for A proteins, you could have the allele that codes for B proteins, but you could also have the allele that codes for the O blood type, which is no protein. And so there are multiple alleles for that. Oh, and that's actually where the bunny rabbit one came from. The codominant one was the one with the birds. Anyways, I digress. The next one is, what is a polygenic trait? What does that mean? So take a second. Alright, so here's another one that I can kind of break the word down. Here's poly again. We've seen poly a lot. We saw it with polymers. We call polymerization. I'm sure there's other polys that I can't think of, but we should know by now that poly means multiple, and genetic genes. So this is one where multiple genes code for a trait. And this is usually going to be our traits that have kind of like continuous features. That's something that I know like stats and math talk about, but it's one where it's not really like a category. It's not like you're blue or you're pink or you're red, but you could be any of the little things in between. So you could be any type of skin color, right? There's not just like 2 or 3 or 4 skin tones. There's a whole spectrum of skin tones. And so if you laid your hand next to the 30 other people in our class, we'd see that, you know, all of our skin colors and tones are slightly different from one another, and that's because multiple genes code for skin color. Height is another one. So like how tall we are is coded by multiple genes, and so we will have not just like people that are 5 feet tall, 6 feet tall, and 7 feet tall. We'll have people all in between, right? It might be 5, 5 3/4 or whatever. The last one is kind of a fun one. It's pretty interesting, I think. So these ones that we've talked about all deal with the first 22 of our 23 chromosomes. So if you remember, what are those first 22 homologous pairs called? They're called autosomes. So these types of inheritance that we've talked about, they all have to do with our autosomes. So the last one has to do with that 23rd homologous pair, which, what is that 23rd homologous pair? It is the sex chromosomes. So the last one is actually going to be called sex-linked genes. So they're genes that are linked, right? They're attached to, they are found on our X and our Y chromosome. And typically, sex-linked genes, we're usually going to actually be talking about the X chromosome, and I'll get to that in a second. So, like I said, most of our genes are found on our 44 autosomes, but some are a part of our 2 sex chromosomes. And so, because of that, we call them sex-linked. You'll recall that the sex chromosomes are the X chromosome and the Y chromosome. And an interesting thing about sex-linked genes is that males are always more likely to inherit sex-linked disorders. It doesn't mean that a female can't have it. There are definitely females that have the sex-linked disorders, but they are far less likely to have them than males. It's that probability thing that we're talking about. So take a second, and I want you to kind of predict, why do you think that males are more likely to inherit sex-linked disorders? So the answer might not be quite what you are thinking, okay? So I know in the past when I've taught this, a lot of people say it's because of the Y chromosome. I'll get back to that in a second. A lot of people say, well, it's because of the Y chromosome. But it's actually not because of the Y chromosome. The Y chromosome actually has very little coded for on it that is not already coded for on the X chromosome. It has a little bit of the X genes on it. And then the real thing that's just special about the Y chromosome is that it has the SRY gene. And so that is the sex determining gene, and that's what makes males males. So there's this little tiny section of the chromosome that is actually going to code for the things that make a male a biological male. One of the examples being like the testes and the development of the testes. So most of the genes that are important for making humans humans in general are going to be on the autosomes, but then it's going to be, most of the important genes are actually found on the X chromosome. Okay, so if we're looking at this and we're looking at one of our sex-linked disorders, so perhaps color blindness. My dad is colorblind, so my dad cannot distinguish very well between like blue and green. There are other colors that people with color blindness, there's some tests that you can do online too to see if you're colorblind, but color blindness is an example. Another one is hemophilia, which I'm not sure if you know what hemophilia is. You might see that philia and loves and hemo and has to do with blood, so maybe something with blood. This actually has to do with your ability to clot, like, so for your blood to clot. So if you get cut, you know how long it takes for it to stop bleeding. And someone with hemophilia has a really hard time getting things to clot, and so they can bleed a lot and continuously, and it'll be hard for it to stop bleeding. Okay, so we'll look at one of those. We'll pretend like we are looking at color blindness. Okay, so here is a male that is not colorblind, and he does not have the gene that is going to cause color blindness. Okay, so he has the dominant allele. He has the color vision allele. His wife, or his significant other, or his female companion that he is going to make children with, she is going to see color, right? She's not going to have a hard time distinguishing between her blues and greens because she has the dominant allele, but it is actually masking a recessive allele. So she is what we call a carrier. You may have remembered that from last week's lecture. So even though she is unaffected, she is still carrying that allele with her. Okay, so that is on her X chromosome. So we are looking at color blindness, which is found on the X chromosome. Unaffected father, unaffected female companion, mother, but she is carrying it with her. So there is some probability, we'll see. Okay, so let's look at their children. Okay, so dad donates the Y chromosome, right? He's going to be giving the Y to all of his children, and he gets mother's X that is unaffected. So he's getting mother's X that's unaffected. He's getting dad's Y automatically, which has nothing to do with this particular gene. And so he's going to be unaffected because he got the unaffected chromosome from mom. We look at daughter. Daughter gets dad's X, which was unaffected. Great. She gets mom's X that is unaffected. So she is going to also be unaffected, and she will not be a carrier. She's not going to have any alleles to give to her children that will have that affected allele, that color blindness allele. We look at son number 2. Well, we'll know that he's a son because he's getting dad's Y. So Y makes him a biological guy. So he's getting dad's Y, doesn't have any effect on color blindness, right? But he's getting mom's affected X chromosome. And so he is only getting one X. He does not have the X that can mask this recessive trait. And so because he only has the one X, nothing else to mask it, and he happened to get mom's affected X, he is actually going to be colorblind. And so he will be affected. And it's all because mom was this unaffected carrier. And just the luck of the draw, when those alleles segregated in meiosis, he just happened to get this one that was affected. And so it had to do with the fact that he doesn't have two X's. Because we'll see, daughter over here, daughter gets dad's X. Dad's X was unaffected, but she does get mom's affected allele. She gets the one that has color blindness, but even though she got that affected allele like her brother, she got the unaffected allele from her father that makes her mask that color blindness. So she, thanks to having two X's, will not express that trait. She will not express that color blindness trait. You'll see that it is completely possible for a female to be colorblind. I had a student a few years ago who was. I have a friend who is a female that is colorblind, and that would be if dad was affected. So if dad had an X that was affected, if mom had an X that was an affected one, and then that individual could be. So it is possible that a female could be, but you'll notice that it is way less likely because all that has to happen for a male to get it is to just happen to get that bad X. Whereas a female has less probability because she's getting two X's. She's getting that possibility to mask it. That brother is not. Okay, it's a little bit complex and it's a little bit wild and crazy, but it does not have to do with the fact that males have the Y chromosome. It's not going to be it's not going to be some gene carried on the Y that only the guy gets. It's going to be that they are getting a gene on the X chromosome that they cannot mask, that they cannot hide, because they're only getting their recessive allele. Okay, so take a second in your brain and think about what sex-linked disorders mean. All right, so thank you guys so much. I know that was a lot to take in. I know it's kind of wild and crazy, and it feels really overwhelming, and it's hard for us because there's a bunch of other things that we could have talked to you about too, like dihybrid crosses and some other things as well. Genetics is super awesome. So I will be posting some more videos on my website in case you have the time and the interest to look into some more genetics. I know it's a super fun topic of study, a super fun unit. It's really unfortunate that we had to cut it short, but at least we got to throw in some of these fun examples because I really do think that these types of inheritance are what kind of make genetics so fascinating. It makes it so interesting, is all this different stuff that could be affecting who you are. Right? And it makes you ask so many questions, like especially now with all the stuff that's going on health-wise, with the COVID-19. There's a bunch of things that I'm wondering, like, oh, well, how does this happen? How does that affect? What makes someone asymptomatic? Could it be genetic? I don't know. Right? So genetics is awesome. I highly encourage you guys to check out some more videos. Make sure that if you have any questions on any of these things, you're posting them in teams. Keep up the great work. I've been really impressed with the dedication you guys have been showing. I miss you all so much, and I hope you are having a wonderful day.